I love telling this story because it gives anybody who's wanting to pursue their own dreams and their own creative, thing in life, hope, because I did Grandma's Boy, and I didn't know what was going to be good for my career and what wasn't, right? I was a character actor. I was just trying to make movies. And I do this role, and then I get an audition for Avatar. And one of the things that we had to do for Avatar, Jim Cameron was not in the room at these first auditions. So I do the scene, one of the scenes that you eventually see in the movie, in the first movie. And then the casting director, Margie Simkin, who I love now and we're friends, but at the time, she was like, okay, Joel, take this outside, and when you come back in, do the scene, but speak gibberish the entire time. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, she said, well, what Jim wants to see is how you communicate without anybody understanding what you're saying. And at the time, I didn't know that it was because they were going to create an entire different language with a UFC professor, who created this Na'vi language for us. So it's a legit language. You could speak it fluently. At the time, I just walked back in there and I said, okay, and I did and every time she would say her line, I would have to speak gibberish. And I do this whole thing and I speak gibberish and I communicate the way that I can through gibberish, and I walk out and I'm like, I am never gonna audition for her again. I embarrassed myself. This was terrible. Nobody's gonna see me in Hollywood. This is so bad. She's never gonna bring me back. But then like a couple weeks later, they called me in and I was meeting with Jim. I was sitting down with Jim and John Landau, the producer, and he said, and he sat down for like a half an hour and we talked before anything. And I asked him, I said, we haven't auditioned. I haven't even done the lines for you yet. Like, is this just to get to know me? And he goes, here's the thing. We're going to make a franchise out of this. And I had to know that I could put up with you for 10 years of making this thing. And so that's what this is about, and that's what, when you come back, you're going to meet some of the other, actors that we're looking at. And it was like Sam and Zoe Saldana and everybody. And so we ended up meeting, but a lot of it was just like whether he could like put up with, whether he liked us as humans, right?
Wow.